She told the clerk I was just the maid, right in front of my son. No one corrected her. No one looked at me. I stood there, invisible. After all the years I gave them, they reduced me to a chore list and a storage room. I thought I was helping family, but I was just convenient to ignore. That day, I stopped waiting for their love and started looking for my own. If you've ever felt unseen or pushed aside by your own family, then this story is for you. Take a deep breath and let it unfold. Do we really need this many oranges? Clara asked, her voice sharp as she jabbed a finger at the cart. I was going to make Noah his fresh juice, I said softly. He said he likes it better than the store kind. He says a lot of things, she muttered, tossing a bag of pretzels on top of the fruit. His 8. He likes junk. Give him a soda like a normal grandma. I didn't answer. I just adjusted the basket and looked down at the list I'd written out that morning. I had perfect handwriting. That was something I still had. Brian, Clara barked, can you get that almond butter you like? I'm not going back down aisle 4. Brian didn't look up from his phone. I took that as a no and started pushing the cart toward aisle 4. It was easier to move away sometimes. Less chance of saying something that would start a scene. When I returned, Brian and Clara were still in the same spot, arguing over cereal. You got the wrong one again, Clara snapped at him. I quietly placed the almond butter into the cart and turned toward the milk section. I moved slower these days. My knees weren't what they used to be. Still, I tried to be useful. I wanted to feel like I still mattered. I reached for the gallon when I heard a cheerful voice behind me. Need a hand with that? I turned. A young clerk, maybe 19, smiled at me. Bright eyes. Kind. Oh, that's sweet. Thank you, but She's just the maid. Clara cut in, loud and clipped. Time froze. The boy blinked, his smile faltering. Oh. Sorry. My hand hovered midair. I lowered it slowly. The milk felt heavier now. Clara turned away like she hadn't just slapped me across the face with her words. Come on, Brian. Brian glanced up. Looked at me. Looked at his wife. Said nothing. Just followed her down the aisle. Still scrolling. I stood there, hand trembling slightly, the cold of the milk seeping into my bones. The clerk gave me a nervous smile and scurried off. I wanted to say something. That I wasn't the maid. That I was his mother. That I had lived with them for 6 years, raised their son, folded their laundry, bandaged scraped knees and wiped away tears. But I couldn't speak. My voice had disappeared. Are you coming? Clara called without looking back. I nodded, though no one saw it. We paid. Clara didn't make eye contact with me once. Brian tapped through his phone like he couldn't be bothered to exist in the same space. Noah was at school. At least he hadn't heard. Or maybe it would have made no difference to him now. The ride home was silent, except for the clicking of turn signals and the occasional sigh from Clara. I stared out the window, the bag of oranges on my lap like some kind of joke. Juice, I had said. As if that mattered now. Once we pulled into the driveway, Clara turned in her seat and spoke like nothing had happened. Could you start dinner? Brian wants the grilled chicken tonight, and don't forget he doesn't like rosemary. I remember, I said quietly. She smiled, like she'd done me a favor. Perfect. I moved to get out, but Brian hadn't unlocked the doors. Brian, Clara said with a roll of her eyes. He clicked the button. Still no words. As I stepped out, my fingers brushed the door frame. I hesitated. 6 years ago, I moved in to help after Clara's complicated labor. She said she didn't want a nanny. Only family, she had said back then. We're so lucky to have you. I believed her. Now, I was the maid. I made the meals. I ironed their clothes. I picked up Noah from school when they were too busy. And still, I was something to be dismissed in a grocery store by someone I once held as a daughter. The door slammed behind me. In the kitchen, I unpacked the groceries slowly. Every clink of a glass jar felt like an echo. Every item placed in its spot reminded me I had no spot of my own. Brian finally spoke when he entered. Hey, did you get almond butter? Yes, I said without turning around. Cool. That was it. He sat at the counter, still scrolling. I watched the back of his head for a second, hoping, foolishly, that maybe he'd look up. Say something. Apologize. Say Clara was out of line. But nothing came. Clara walked in next, heels clicking, sipping from a green smoothie. Brian, Remind me to email Noah's teacher. She keeps sending notes home about his reading log. I'll do it tomorrow, he muttered. He needs to be reading more. Not just comic books. Margaret, make sure he reads after dinner, okay? I nodded. Of course. Great, she said brightly. See? This is why it works. I turned back to the sink. Washed the lettuce. Sliced the tomatoes. Diced the chicken. It didn't work. Not anymore. Somewhere between the almond butter and the milk, something inside me had cracked. A small fracture, maybe, but deep. And once something cracks, it never quite goes back to the way it was. Not completely. Clara dropped a folded paper on the kitchen counter. Here's the list for tomorrow. I picked it up, scanning the bullet points. Vacuuming. Windows. Bathrooms. Even the baseboards. Is this for the cleaning lady? I asked gently. She raised an eyebrow. We don't have one, remember? You're here. I see. You can at least do something for your stay, she muttered, pulling open the fridge. I cook every night. I pick up Noah from school. And you live here rent-free, she cut in. Don't act like you're doing us a favor. Brian walked in. I turned to him. Brian. He opened a cabinet. What? Is this okay with you? He didn't meet my eyes. It's Clara's house too. I stared at him. But it was supposed to be temporary. I moved in to help. Clara chuckled. And yet here we are. Still helping. I'm not a maid. No one said you were, she replied, turning to wipe the counter. You just did. At the store. That was a misunderstanding. You're being dramatic. I looked at Brian again. Do you think I'm overreacting? He scratched his chin. Let's not make this a thing, okay? Noah entered, tossing his backpack by the door. Grandma, is dinner ready? Yes, sweetheart. Just need 10 more minutes. Clara crossed her arms. Don't call her that. What? He blinked. She's not your grandma. She's Margaret. I froze. Brian looked up. Clara. No, she said, her tone rising. We've talked about this. Noah frowned. But she is my grandma. Not by blood, Clara said. My voice shook. I was there the day he came home from the hospital. I stayed up nights when he was teething. Clara rolled her eyes. You wiped drool. That doesn't make you a parent. Brian sat down at the island. Let's not fight. I'm not fighting, Clara snapped. I'm just stating facts. I turned and walked to my room. Or rather, the room they let me use. It was the old storage closet, once filled with broken baby swings and suitcases. I had made it mine with folded sheets, a small lamp, a tiny radio. Still, I kept my shoes tucked under the bed, my clothes neatly in bins. I never left a mess. Never gave a reason to complain. That night, I lay awake, the ache in my chest louder than the hum of the ceiling fan. I buried my face in the pillow, muffling the sob that pushed through my throat. I didn't want to cry. But I did. A knock at the door made me sit up fast. I wiped my face. Who is it? No answer. I opened the door slowly. Nothing there. Just a folded paper on the floor. Tomorrow's updated chore list. I picked it up with trembling hands and closed the door quietly. My fingers reached for my phone. I hadn't done this in months. I scrolled through old contacts until I found her name. Evelyn. The line rang once. Twice. Then, well, I'll be damned. Margaret. I burst into tears. Hey, she said quickly. What's going on? Are you all right? I couldn't answer at first. Just breathed. Take your time, honey. They treat me like I'm invisible, I whispered. Who? Brian. Clara. I don't even have a real room. She called me the maid. In public. In front of people. There was a pause. You're not a maid, she said calmly. You're their scapegoat. That word made my skin prickle. What? She needs someone to look down on. So she can feel better about herself. She tells Noah not to call me grandma, I whispered. Says I'm not blood. That woman's poison, Evelyn snapped. And Brian's letting her do it. I gave everything to that boy, I said. I sold my car to help with the down payment. I walked Noah to school every day when they were too busy. I've been nothing but grateful. Evelyn let out a sigh. And they are using that against you. I blinked back more tears. What do I do? You get out. You remember who you are. You don't let them erase you. Where would I go? You've got options, Margaret. And you've got me. I sat on the edge of the bed, fingers shaking. I don't want to be a burden. You're not, she said firmly. You hear me? You are not a burden. The silence between us was soft. Steady. I don't even recognize Brian anymore, I whispered. Because that's not the boy you raised, she said. It's the man she's molding. I swallowed. How did I let it get this far? Because you loved him, she said. And love makes us put up with too much for too long. My throat burned. It's like I'm a ghost in my own life. You're not a ghost, sweetheart. You're just in the wrong house. That line stayed with me long after I hung up. I stared at the chore list again. Laundry, mopping, windows. But not one line about me. Not one word asking if I was okay. Not a single thank you. I folded the list in half, then in half again, until it disappeared into my palm. Then I turned off the light. And for the first time in a long time, I started to think about leaving. Could you dust up there while you at it? Clara called out, pointing toward the attic door. It's been forever, and it's gross. I nodded without looking at her. Sure. The attic ladder creaked as I pulled it down. Dust rained from the hinges. I climbed slowly, one step at a time, heart heavier than the boxes I was about to lift. Inside, it smelled of time. Old sweaters, photo albums, forgotten decorations. I moved a bin aside and sneezed. Everything okay up there? Brian called lazily from downstairs. I'm fine, I said. Just a little dust. I wasn't fine. The silence up there was a strange kind of comfort. For once, I didn't hear Clara's voice or the clink of dishes I'd end up washing. I was alone with the past. I bent to pick up a box labeled Christmas '97 when something slid out and landed at my feet, a brown leather journal, worn around the edges. I sat down on a plastic crate and opened the cover. Walter. My chest tightened. His handwriting greeted me like an old friend. If you're reading this, I guess you finally went up here to clean like you always said you would. I smiled despite the tears rising. I turned the page carefully, fingers trembling. Clara smiles with her teeth but not her eyes. I don't trust it. I stopped breathing. Watch her. She knows how to twist words. How to make Brian doubt what's right. Walter, I whispered. You saw it too. Page after page, his voice wrapped around me. You're stronger than they think. Don't let them wear you down. A sob escaped before I could stop it. Margaret. Brian shouted from below. You okay? Yeah, I croaked. Just dust. I flipped more pages. Grocery lists. A poem about our anniversary. Notes he'd written but never shared. Then I found an envelope taped to the inside back cover. For when you feel invisible. My hands shook as I opened it. My love, if they ever make you feel small, please remember you are not. You were never small. You were the one who held us all together. I see you. I always have. I pressed the letter to my chest and let the tears fall. He had known. He had seen me, even when I stopped seeing myself. You okay? Clara called up again. I didn't answer this time. The attic air felt less heavy now, like Walter was sitting with me in that space, gently placing his hand over mine. I sat there for what felt like hours, flipping through that journal like it was a lifeline. I didn't realize Brian had climbed up until I heard him step behind me. What's that? He asked. A journal, I said, closing it gently. Dad's. Yes. His eyes lingered on the cover. I didn't know he wrote one. There's a lot you didn't know, I said quietly. He glanced around. Clara's wondering what's taking so long. Tell her I found something more important than baseboard dust. He raised an eyebrow. What's that supposed to mean? Just tell her. Are you crying? No. I lied, wiping my face. He didn't push. Just stood there awkwardly, like he didn't know whether to sit or run. I handed him a page. Read this. He took it hesitantly, scanning the words. His expression changed. Dad wrote this. I nodded. He read it again. She knows how to twist words, he repeated softly. I waited. Brian lowered the page slowly. Why didn't he tell me? Maybe he tried. Maybe you weren't ready to hear it. He didn't respond. I watched him shift, uncomfortable. He saw her for what she is, I said. Long before I ever did. Why are you telling me this now? He asked. Because you're my son. And I want to believe there's still something of him in you. His mouth opened, but no words came. I tucked the journal into a canvas bag beside me. You should go. He lingered. You're really hurt, huh? I met his eyes. It's not just hurt, Brian. It's erasure. He looked down. I didn't ask him to defend me. Not anymore. After he left, I sat in silence again. I pulled out the letter one more time, letting Walter's words settle into the cracks of me. You're stronger than they think. Maybe I was. Maybe I hadn't lost everything after all. Not yet. Are you going somewhere? Clara asked, standing in the doorway. I zipped the suitcase slowly. Yes. For how long? I don't know. She raised an eyebrow. You're not going to leave your chores unfinished, are you? I won't be doing chores anymore. Clara laughed. You're joking. No. You think Brian's going to let you just walk out? He hasn't noticed I'm in the house half the time. She folded her arms. So you're throwing a tantrum now? I didn't answer. I closed the suitcase and clicked the latches into place. Well, she huffed, if you're really leaving, don't expect us to come crawling. I won't. Clara watched as I lifted the bag. So that's it? You're just walking out. I turned to her one last time. You already told the world I was just the maid. Don't act surprised I'm acting like a guest now. I walked past her. She didn't follow. Brian didn't come downstairs. Noah wasn't even home. I stepped outside, the cold air filling my lungs like I hadn't breathed in weeks. The cab waited at the curb. The driver opened the trunk wordlessly. I slid in and whispered the address. Evelyn's address. She opened the door before I even knocked. You came, she said softly. I nodded. You said I had options. You do. Come inside. Her house smelled like lavender and old wood. I hadn't realized how much I missed that smell. Safety. I made tea, she said, leading me to the small kitchen. Chamomile. I'd love some. She poured, slid the mug toward me. You look like you haven't slept in weeks. Because I haven't. Evelyn sat across from me. Tell me what happened. I packed. Clara watched. Brian didn't say a word. It was like they expected me to vanish. Like they'd rehearsed it, she said bitterly. I didn't even cry. You're past the crying stage. You're in the survival stage now. I let the warmth of the mug soak into my palms. Is this really okay? Me staying? She reached over and touched my hand. It's not a palace, but it's peace. I smiled, tears brimming. That's all I want. She led me to the guest house out back. Small. Cozy. One room, one bath, a tiny kitchenette. But it felt like freedom. I'll let you settle in, she said. Dinner's at 7. If you're up for it. I might just sit for a while. Sit as long as you want. When she left, I opened the suitcase, folded my clothes into drawers. For the first time, I wasn't rushing to be useful. I didn't need to time dinner. I didn't need to pretend I wasn't exhausted. I sat by the window with a pen and notebook and just breathed. Then I started to write. Tonight, I left my son's house. Not because I was pushed, but because I finally stood up. I stared at the page, then wrote more. I was treated like furniture. But I remember now, I am not furniture. I am a woman with a voice, a past, a heart. The moon hung low in the sky. I hadn't watched the moon in years. The next morning, I walked into the main house and found Evelyn flipping pancakes. You eat yet? She asked. No. Can I help? She handed me a plate. You can sit. I'm not used to that. I know. We ate quietly, comfortably. What are your plans today? She asked. I thought I'd walk to the park. Maybe get some air. Good. You need to move your body. It helps shake off the grief. I nodded. Will you come? Later. I've got church calls to make this morning. Outside, the world felt different. Not because it had changed, but because I had. At the park, A child ran past and nearly bumped into me. His mother called out an apology. I smiled. It's all right. I sat on a bench and watched ducks on the pond. An older couple walked by, holding hands. They reminded me of Walter, of what real partnership had felt like. I wasn't angry anymore, just aware. When I returned, Evelyn had made soup. You look better, she said. I feel lighter. That's what peace does. I took a deep breath. I cooked every meal in that house and never once made something just for me. Evelyn smiled. Well then, let's fix that tomorrow. What's your favorite dish? Chicken pot pie. Then chicken pot pie it is. We spent the evening sharing old memories. We laughed until my sides hurt. I forgot what laughing felt like, I admitted. You're not broken, Margaret. You've just been silenced for too long. That night, I journaled again. For the first time in years, no one yelled at me. No one sighed when I entered a room. No one asked why I existed. Today, I made tea just for me. I took a walk. I watched ducks. I watched the sky. And for once, I didn't ask for permission. Margaret, Evelyn called from the front porch. Someone's here to meet you. I set down my tea. Someone. She's harmless, Evelyn said with a smirk. And she's family. A young woman stepped around the corner. Bright smile, brown curls, eyes that studied without judgment. I'm Jenna, she said, holding out her hand. Evelyn's niece. I'm a journalist. I shook her hand cautiously. Nice to meet you. She's staying the weekend, Evelyn added. And she's curious. Jenna laughed. Guilty. I write human stories, the quiet kind that get overlooked. I nodded. Well, there's plenty of quiet around here. Would you talk to me? She asked gently. About what brought you here? I hesitated. No pressure, she added quickly. But Evelyn said you've got a story. And I think people need to hear it. I'm not sure anyone would care. You'd be surprised. I looked at Evelyn. She gave a small nod. We sat in the garden. I clutched my mug tightly. Where do I start? I asked. Start where it hurt. I closed my eyes. The grocery store. Jenna clicked her recorder on. Go on. There was a boy, a clerk, maybe 19. He smiled and asked if I needed help reaching the milk. Before I could answer, Clara, my daughter-in-law, snapped, she's just the maid. Jenna's eyebrows twitched. She said that, in public. Yes, loudly. And your son? Didn't say a word. He just kept scrolling on his phone. Jenna said nothing for a moment. Then, softly, what happened after? I rode home in silence. My grandson didn't even know. I cried into my pillow that night. Wondered how I'd become a stranger in my own son's house. She scribbled notes. And before that? I lived with them for 6 years. I cooked, cleaned, picked up their son from school. They said they needed help after the baby was born. Did they ask you to move in? Yes. Clara called it a blessing. She said, we don't want a stranger, we want family. But somewhere along the way, I stopped being family. Jenna looked up. When did you decide to leave? I found my late husband's journal. He had written warnings. About Clara. About how she manipulated Brian. There was a letter, one he never gave me, titled For When You Feel Invisible. Her pen paused. He saw it coming, I whispered. He knew she'd erase me. Did your son ever read the journal? He did. But he said nothing. Just stood there. Why do you think he's silent? I think it's easier to pretend I'm fine than to admit he's let me down. Jenna leaned forward. May I ask something hard? Yes. Do you still love him? My throat tightened. More than anything. And that's what makes it hurt. She clicked the recorder off. That's enough for today. I breathed out. Thank you. Margaret, she said, standing, this isn't just a story. It's a mirror. And a lot of women will see themselves in it. I wasn't sure what that meant. Not yet. A week later, Evelyn burst into the guest house holding her phone. It's live, she beamed. Jenna's article, it's up. I stared at the screen. Invisible Mother, a widow's fight for dignity. My picture was there, just my hands, folded in my lap. You didn't tell me she was publishing it so soon. She wanted it to be a surprise, Evelyn said. You okay? I'm not sure. Read the comments. I scrolled. This is my mother's story. I cried reading this. Thank you, Margaret. I thought I was alone. I'm not. The tears came before I could stop them. Jenna texted an hour later. Your inbox is about to explode. Hope you're ready. And it did. Messages poured in. My daughter-in-law did the same. I've been living in silence for years. You're brave. I sat on the porch with Evelyn that evening. I didn't think anyone would care. They care. I thought I was forgotten. You're seen, Margaret. Maybe for the first time in a long time. Later that night, I wrote in my journal. Today, my silence became a voice. Strangers know me now. But more than that, they understand me. I am not alone. There was a knock at Evelyn's door just after lunch. She glanced out the window. It's your son. I set down my tea. Brian. Looks nervous, she muttered, heading for the door. Should I stay? No. I'll handle it. She nodded and stepped aside as I opened the door. Brian stood there, hands in his pockets, eyes darting everywhere but toward mine. Hi, Mom. Brian. Can we talk? I stepped outside. You're here alone. He nodded. Clara doesn't know I came. Smart. He scratched the back of his neck. She's freaking out. Why? Afraid someone might recognize themselves in my story. She says you embarrassed us. I laughed, loud and real. It startled even me. I embarrassed you. He winced. You made us look like monsters. I didn't make you look like anything. I told the truth. He looked away. I didn't think you'd go public. You didn't think I had it in me. No, I didn't. There was a long pause. She's getting emails, he added. People from her office saw the article. They're asking questions. I imagine that's uncomfortable. Why didn't you talk to me first? I did. Many times. You weren't listening. I didn't know you were hurting that bad. Then you weren't paying attention. He ran a hand down his face. Clara wants to make things right. I raise an eyebrow. Oh. She wants to sit down. Talk it out. Maybe, figure out a way forward. A way forward for who? Huh? You? Me? For all of us. No, Brian. She wants to protect her image. That's all. I'm trying here. No. You're trying now that the public's watching. That's not fair. It's honest. He looked at the ground. I miss Noah. I miss the version of you who used to stand up for people. I made mistakes. You watched them happen. That's different. Silence. I stepped back. Tell Clara I'm not coming back. She's scared, Mom. She should be. He blinked. I'm not your maid. I'm not your backup plan. I'm your mother. And you treated me like clutter. Please don't shut us out. I didn't. You all did that first. I still love you. I hope that's true. But love without respect is just convenience. His mouth opened, then closed. Okay. Okay. He walked away slowly. Didn't look back. That evening, Clara called. I let it ring 4 times before I picked up. Oh, thank God, you answered, she breathed dramatically. I've been calling all day. What do you want, Clara? I want to fix this. You can't. Look, I may have said some things. You called me your maid. You told Noah to stop calling me grandma. You gave me a chore list like I was hired help. I was overwhelmed. You were cruel. She sniffled. Brian misses you. Brian had years to show it. He didn't. We can start fresh. Just forget all that and begin again. No. What? I'm not your maid, Clara. I'm your warning. She fell silent. I let you shrink me once. I won't let you do it again. Margaret. I hung up. That was the last time I answered her call. Evelyn handed me a glass of lemonade and sat beside me on the porch. So, she said, how'd the reunion go? I didn't go. She call? Yes. And? She said she wanted to start over. And what did you say? I smiled. I said no. Evelyn raised her glass. To freedom. I tapped mine against hers. To being seen. Later, I wrote in my journal. They want me back now that the world is watching. But I am no longer a shadow waiting for permission. I am the voice they thought would never speak. You're really doing this? Evelyn asked, watching me tape the last flyer to the community board. I am. She grinned. You've got that fire back. It was never gone, I said. Just buried under laundry and silence. We walked down the sidewalk toward the small building I'd rented. A red door, cracked windows, and a sagging porch. But it had good bones. You sure about the name? She asked. I nodded. The second bloom. Evelyn paused. It's perfect. Inside, I arranged a few chairs, wiped down the tables, and straightened the books I'd brought from home. The first day, 3 women showed up. A quiet one with silver curls introduced herself first. I'm Gloria. Welcome, I said. Coffee's hot. Next came Irene, with a firm handshake. Used to teach chemistry. Retired early. Regretted it ever since. Then Lisa, holding a worn tote bag and blinking back nerves. Is it okay if I just sit for now? Sit. Stand. Speak. Be silent, I told her. This is your space too. We started with tea. Gloria stirred hers. I haven't spoken to anyone outside my cat in 4 days. Irene chuckled. I miss yelling at teenagers. Lisa stayed quiet, but her eyes scanned the room. Here's what I want this place to be, I said. A soft corner. For women who gave and gave until we forgot how to receive. They listened. We'll have cooking classes. Writing circles. We'll plant things. And maybe grow again ourselves. Gloria smiled. Like a second bloom. Yes. Week by week, more women came. Margaret with arthritis and a wicked sense of humor. Delilah, who brought her knitting and shared old love letters. Janice, who swore she hated people but showed up every Tuesday anyway. One morning, Lisa tapped my shoulder. Can I teach something? Of course, I said. What? Quilting. Beautiful. That Friday, she brought scraps of fabric and needles. The room buzzed with laughter and stories stitched between threads. I haven't taught in years, she whispered. You didn't forget how, I said. You just needed someone to listen. Later that day, Irene asked, when do we get a garden? You want one? I want tomatoes. Gloria chimed in. I want tulips. So we dug up the backyard. Dirt under our nails, sun on our shoulders. No one complained. I forgot how good it feels to make something grow, Gloria said. We're all growing, I replied. One afternoon, a woman wandered in during journaling circle. She looked unsure. Is this the writing thing? It's whatever you need it to be, I said. She hesitated. Do I have to share? No. But you're welcome to. She sat, opened her notebook, and started to write. Later, she stayed behind. I haven't written anything in 30 years. You just did. She smiled. Thank you. I locked up that evening with a full heart. Evelyn visited the next week. You've built something here, she said. No, I smiled. We all did. She watched the women quilting and laughing. Does Clara know? She'll see it online eventually. Jenna's sending a photographer next week. You ready for that? I'm not hiding anymore. Evelyn squeezed my hand. You've come a long way, Margaret. I've still got miles to go. But you're walking proud. That night, I sat in my office and opened my journal. Today, Lisa taught Gloria how to sew a corner stitch. Irene planted tomatoes, and Delilah sang while watering them. This place isn't just mine. It's ours. And for the first time, I'm not just healing, I'm leading. Turn on the TV, Evelyn called from the kitchen. Channel 7. I grabbed the remote, heart thudding. What is it? You'll want to see this. The screen flashed to a breaking news segment. Clara's face, poised, polished, professional, stared back. Then the headline scrolled across the bottom.
Executive terminated after internal email leak shows abuse toward elderly dependent.
My mouth went dry. Evelyn leaned on the doorframe.
That dependent is you.
I sat down slowly. She always called me that when filing her taxes.
Elderly dependent. Like I was a line item.
They found her emails, Evelyn added.
Nasty ones. Screenshots are going viral. I blinked at the screen.
Clara's voice played from a clip.
She cleans, she cooks, she stays out of the way. What more do you want from an old woman?
I covered my mouth. She really said that? Evelyn nodded. It's in black and white now.
Her company cut her loose this morning. Does Brian know? As if on cue, my phone buzzed.
Brian.
I answered. Hello.
He sounded breathless. You saw? I did.
She's devastated.
Is she?
She says someone leaked her private messages.
Messages about me.
She's saying you sent them. I laughed once. I didn't. But even if I had, they were her words.
He paused.
Can we talk? You're talking now. In person.
Why?
Noah misses you.
My hand tightened around the phone.
Noah.
He's been asking questions. After the article, after school today, he cried. I closed my eyes.
He cried.
Can we come? Just the two of us. Please. I hesitated.
Just you and Noah. Yes.
Fine. Tomorrow. 1 hour.
Noah stepped into the second bloom the next day, small hands fidgeting, eyes wide.
He looked older. Grandma, he asked softly. I bent down. Hi, sweetheart.
He rushed forward, burying his face in my coat. I held him tight. You've grown.
He sniffled. I'm sorry.
For what?
I didn't know, Grandma. I thought you liked helping. Mom always said you liked it.
I blinked back tears. Helping is beautiful, Noah. But being used isn't.
He nodded into my chest.
I didn't know. I know you didn't.
Brian cleared his throat.
He's been asking about you nonstop. I stood up.
And you? Still asking yourself anything?
I read more of Dad's journal.
Good. He warned me.
I ignored it. Yes, you did. I let her twist things.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I don't need an apology, Brian.
I need growth.
He nodded. I want that.
Then stop excusing cruelty. Start recognizing silence as complicity. I'm trying.
Try harder.
For him, I said, glancing at Noah. He looked at the walls, the shelves, the garden out back. This place is amazing. It's where women go when they need to remember who they are.
He smiled faintly.
Can boys come?
I laughed.
Special ones.
He grinned.
Can I help in the garden?
Always. Brian stepped forward.
You look good. I am good. And Clara?
She'll have to sit with herself now.
That's her reckoning.
He nodded.
She's blaming everyone. Typical.
She said you ruined her. She ruined herself.
I just stopped covering for it. Later, Noah sat with Gloria, learning how to plant basil.
Irene brought out lemonade. Lisa handed him a notebook.
This place is nice,
he whispered. It smells like my old house. I smiled.
It smells like women who finally exhaled. When they left, Noah hugged me again.
Can I come back next week?
Whenever you want.
Brian lingered.
Thank you for letting us visit.
Thank him.
He's the only one who asked.
He nodded once.
You're right.
I didn't hug him. But I didn't close the door on him either. That night, I journaled again.
Clara's world is crumbling, and she's still pointing fingers. But I don't carry the weight of her shame anymore.
Noah hugged me like he finally saw me.
And for the first time, I didn't shrink. I'm not waiting for karma. I am my own restoration. Are you nervous? Evelyn asked, pinning a little tulip brooch to my cardigan. A little. You've spoken to rooms full of women. Not like this.
She stepped back and smiled.
Well, you look like a woman with something to say.
I am. Outside, Folding chairs lined the garden.
Banners waved in the breeze, the second bloom, 1 year of growing together. I could see Gloria laughing near the refreshment table, Lisa arranging her quilts on display, Irene fussing over the sound system.
Full house, Evelyn said, peeking at the crowd.
And they are here for you.
I swallowed.
I used to hide behind doors.
Now I have a microphone. She squeezed my hand. Speak.
Let them feel it. The sun hit the podium just right as I stepped forward. Conversations quieted. Eyes turned toward me. I took a breath. A year ago, I began, I was called a maid in a grocery store.
Heads tilted. Silence stretched.
I stood there, holding a jug of milk, while someone I once called family erased me in front of a stranger.
A few people nodded.
Evelyn folded her arms, proud.
I wasn't the only one. I learned that when my story reached others. Women messaged me, called me, hugged me on sidewalks. They said, that happened to me, too. Soft murmurs.
One woman wiped her eyes.
I realized we weren't broken.
We were just quiet for too long.
Applause broke out, gentle, then growing.
And now?
I smiled.
Now I run a haven for women who refuse to be erased.
The crowd clapped louder. Irene whooped. Lisa beamed.
Here, we grow things.
Tomatoes, tulips, trust.
We teach each other how to mend tears, both in fabric and in hearts.
We listen. We speak.
And most importantly, we see one another.
I spotted Noah near the back, standing beside Brian. He waved. I waved back.
This place was built from scraps of courage, tears, and kindness. It was built by all of you.
The applause rose again. I glanced at Evelyn.
She nodded slowly, mouthing, "Keep going."
I took another breath. My name is Margaret. The garden fell still. And I am not your maid.
I never was. A wave of claps and cheers erupted.
Some people stood. Gloria whistled. I stepped down, heart pounding. Evelyn met me at the steps. You did it, she whispered. I said it out loud.
You claimed your name. And gave it weight. Later, over lemonade and cake, Lisa came up to me. That speech.
Too much. No. It was everything. Gloria chimed in.
You said what I couldn't find words for. I said it for all of us.
Irene raised her glass. To Margaret. Everyone followed. To Margaret. Even Brian lifted his cup.
To Mom.
I looked at him, then at Noah. He stepped closer.
You are amazing. Thank you, sweetheart.
Brian cleared his throat.
I didn't know how strong you were.
I always was. You just forgot.
I remember now.
I didn't answer. I didn't need to. As the sun set, Evelyn and I sat on the porch.
I've never seen you shine like that, she said. I used to think being invisible kept me safe.
And now?
Now I see it only kept me small.
She leaned back. And you're not small.
No, I smiled. I'm finally full size.
That night, I opened my journal. I stood where I once shrank.
I spoke where I once stayed silent.
They clapped, but more importantly, I did.
My name is Margaret.
I am not your maid. I never was.
If this story touched something in your heart, tell me your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that speak what others stay silent about. You'll find links to our most powerful videos right here on the screen.